everybody, Cider guys are here. I'm Mark.
And I'm Justin.
And today we have our latest installment in our Meet the Maker series. We had the chance to sit down with Jay, the head cider maker at Red Clay Ciderworks. We enjoyed a nice conversation with him, talk about all sorts of different topics.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot to look forward to in today's video. As always, if you want to learn more about our Meet the Maker series, click on the link that we're going to put up right above us. And be on the lookout every Monday for a newest installment that will come out of our Meet the Maker series. So, without any further ado, we hope you enjoy.
Here it is.
Hey everybody, Cider guys are here with our latest installment with our Meet the Makers interview series. We're here with Jay at Red Clay Ciderworks. Jay, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We'd just like to start off with a little bit of, can you give us some background on how Red Clay Ciderworks came to be?
Sure. I had started out being a home brewer and home winemaker back in 1997 while I was still in the Navy, and that just kind of led, for whatever reason, to more winemaking than brewing. Still brewed every once in a while, but was mostly making wine. And then when I got out of the Navy and met my wife, and her parents had 2 apple trees in their yard, so that was a free source of fruit. So we started out making apple wines, and because in '99, in that part of that time period, cider was not a big category in the U.S., so that really wasn't, I was setting out to make more apple wine than cider, but it just kind of grew from there. We moved down here in 2000, and it just so happened that my next door neighbor is also from Michigan, and was also a home winemaker, and just between the two of us we started going to get apples, doing our own pressings, and kind of grew from there. So on a personal level, we still make between our family, his family, and another family, we make about 300 gallons of cider on a personal level a year.
Wow.
Yes, we have a big November
on top
party.
Of anything that's made here.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, not very much of this makes it back to the house because we have our own.
Right.
We have our own source. So.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Can you talk a little bit about your cider making philosophy? Like, what when you think ciders, what do you like to make?
So I personally like very, very dry ciders with more tannin if you can get it. That's unfortunately fruit like that is hard to get a hold of at this point in time in the U.S. There's a limited supply of it. We have a far more plentiful supply of more dessert and culinary apples. So that's kind of what you're left making for the masses, so to speak. So we've tried to kind of create a balance. We have some bone dry ciders, we have some semi-dries, and we have just a very few that tend toward the sweeter end of the spectrum. But we try and stay, far away from the level of sugar that you see in a high-end commercial or industrial-sized commercial cider. And so the other part that we're trying to do, I had to learn very quickly that I'm not making cider for myself. So to have all dry ciders or all single varietal or all whatever, we try to have a variety. If you look at our board, you'll see 13 or 14 different ciders at any given time. Now some of them might be 50-gallon batches. We're just doing it for that month, but we're trying to have a variety up there, and the small batch series is a way to do that without having to do everything on a commercial scale. Because stuff like watermelon, cucumber, and the jalapeno pineapple, we're using the real ingredient for that. So to process that much peppers, that much fruit for thousands of gallons batches, it's difficult. So.
You've had some recent success at competitions. You brought home several medals from Red Clay. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we took 7 ciders. That was the first time I had entered as a professional. I had been in Glint Cap, I think, entered 3 times prior to opening the cidery, and took home medals each time. Not always for every cider. I think my very first year, I got 3 out of 5. I got very close on the other 2, but the important part about that competition, and usually most of them, you get the tasting notes back from the judges, and you also get their contact information. So if you really want to delve into what they found wrong or what they liked, you're able to do that. So for various reasons, part of it time, part of it just apprehension. I had not entered the Glit Cap as a professional cider maker until this year, and we took 7 ciders and took home 7 mills. So
pretty good ratio.
Yeah, so six of them were ciders. One of them was our apple dessert wine, 16%, that we've been working on for a few years. It's fortified with our own apple brandy that was distilled at a local distillery, Muddy River Distillery. And then the part that's barrel aged was aged in local bourbon barrels from Doc Porter's distillery. So we did pretty well. We did a silver on that, a silver on our cherry, and then the other 5 were bronze. Yeah, that's like our South End, our Queen City jalapeno, and then our In the Buff, which is just our base kind of cider, unfiltered, unback sweetened. And then I think we took, there was one other, our blackberry, I think, the bronze too. So we did pretty good. Yeah.
So you spoke a little bit about 13-ish ciders on your board here at the tasting room. Can you talk a little bit about what you can and why you chose those?
So we started out canning just our 2 best sellers, and this is 2 years ago. So that would have been our cherry and our Queen City. And then about 6 to 8 months into that, we added our semi-sweet, which is our South End. So felt we were kind of rounding out the offering there. And then we're about to add our rosé at the end of this month, and starting with Tri-Jacked this week, we're going to do once monthly small batch cannings that will basically just be available here. We'll probably do a 40 to 50 case run just to kind of up the offering there. And we've basically, as far as what we've canned, we've been relying fairly heavily on the data we have from our own sales efforts, and then now that we're with a distributor, just looking for feedback from what do you think is going to sell better, and kind of working with them in a partnership to figure out what to can next. So they unanimously agreed the rosé should be the next offering, because that's the hot thing right now. So yeah, so that'll be coming out next.
Awesome. So this video will probably be coming out in January, so that should be available. Is rosé going to be distributed?
That is going to be a distributed year-round cider. At least for now, that's what we're planning.
And where all can you find Red Clay? What is your distributing map?
So our distributing map, technically we're distributed statewide through North Carolina. That is, as anybody that's in this business knows, that it's a process. We just met with Harris Teeter a couple weeks ago for the 2019 cold sets. So we'll be in more Harris Teeters. We're typically just in the immediate Charlotte region, and maybe a few smatterings up in Raleigh area. We're going to have access to anywhere that the salespeople can sell it in. And then in South Carolina, we are in the Rock Hill, Fort Mill, and Columbia kind of wedge with our distributor there. And we're looking for distribution partners in other areas, but South Carolina is carved up into different sections. Here we can get one distributor that does the whole state. There we have to work with multiple, so we're in that process. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of distributing, what do you foresee the growth of Red Clay Ciderworks?
So we are, unfortunately, at least until you have your own canning line and things like that, your packaged product is your biggest growth mover, and so that's also because you use mobile canning and things like that. It's technically your least profitable, but that's where the growth is at, and so that's where we see getting into the grocery stores, getting into other chains outside of Harris Teeter, more bottle shops. But we are trying to maintain a balance between the draft product and the package. We don't want it all packaged. But that said, when you do get your own canning line, you do cut out those services, that then becomes one of your more profitable. So you know, it's kind of you're going to have to invest in that growth for the long game, which is once you do have that equipment in house, you're positioned pretty well because you're now selling it, you know, all over. So that's we're just going to try and hang in there and wait for that point.
Yeah. So that is something you're wanting to do in the future, is have your own canning line.
Yeah. We're not quite there where it makes sense, but with the thing with Harris Teeter and other folks that we're talking to, that is a if you can make it, we'll take it kind of scenario. So we could go from what we're doing today to, you know, double or triple them pretty quickly, which then a canning line makes sense.
Yeah.
So
now you make everything in home right here, right? Do you have any future ideas or growth of maybe a second location or opening a place where you make and then you sell?
Right. We looked at options like that. I think that could be a possibility down the road, maybe a second tap room location. If we did more distribution, production, we'd really go outside of the city. I mean, Charlotte has exploded so much that the type of building that you need for that it's getting harder and harder to find an affordable price. So something like that would probably be outside of the city. So we'd look more for maybe a different taproom location. But in the meantime, we don't feel like we've utilized the one we have to the fullest. So we're looking at options like adding food, adding a different retail section where you can have not just our packaged ciders, but get ciders from all over the world, region, things like that for takeout. Because we're getting to be, this part of South End is getting to be more of a pedestrian neighborhood, a light rail neighborhood. So we want to have that convenience factor too. You know, pop in, grab a 4-pack.
That'd be great.
So we're going to concentrate more on that kind of stuff, growing the business here in our current building before we think about going.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's talk about where you are right now, and then and maybe your hours.
Yeah, so we are in the what's called Lower South End. We're basically the dividing line between what everybody likes to call historic South End, and then Lower South End, or LoSo. Some people are thrown around there. So we're on the cusp of both those two locations, Clanton Road and South Boulevard. Our light rail station is Scaly Bark Station, and our hours, we are closed Mondays and Tuesdays, open Wednesday through Sunday. Basically Wednesday, Thursday we open at 4, close at 10. Friday it's 3 to 11, Saturday 12 to 11, Sunday 12 to 7.
Gotcha. And you have a lot of events here at the tap room. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, we do trivia every Thursday night. We once a month we have a cider and cheese pairing. I believe that's the second Friday every month, and then the fourth Friday of every month we do it's either pie or cookie with cider pairing. We have a local baker that brings the baked goods and we pair with ciders. And we're actually talking about in the future, those two have talked about doing a cheese cider pie pairing. It's been done other places, so you know, kind of think about apples and cheddar. So apple pie products, cheddar type cheeses, and then the ciders, you know, pair that kind of thing. So we do that kind of stuff. We've been doing, I think this will be our third month, we're doing it on Black Friday. We'll have a murder mystery. We have a local little theater group that comes in and puts on a murder at Red Clay kind of thing, and so this will be the third time doing that, and I look to see that happen probably every month. And so we do, you know, a lot of events like that, and there's usually some donut pop-ups and things like that throughout the month. So just check our social media and our website and things like that.
Cool. All right, and finally, we'd like to talk a little bit about the cider industry as a whole. What do you see as like a barrier, or maybe something that's holding people back from trying ciders? And then where do you see the cider industry going?
Right. So one of the things that I think, it's you have to be careful how you talk about this, because I'm absolutely not bashing the large cider makers, because I mean it's absolutely impossible for them to make cider at that scale like we're able to make it in here. I mean, we're making 30,000 gallons a year. They're making 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 million. I mean, so their role is to spread the word about cider, and unfortunately, because of the sugar level on a lot of it, now they are changing with the market, but that is often people's first introduction to cider, and if they're not a fan of sugar, then that in their mind is what cider is. And so it's our job as a small cidery, same thing with our partner here in town, Good Road. I mean, we do a lot of education on telling people, cider does not have to be like that. It can be, but it doesn't have to be, and here's how we do it, here's what we offer. And more often than not, we very rarely have somebody that has gotten an opinion of cider because of that, not try our stuff and say, okay, that I can drink, and find something,
right.
Especially with 13 or 14 different ciders. And Good Road's the same way. They've got a ton of different options there. So that has been a bit of a barrier, and those larger cider companies, and this is the same thing the beer industry faces, their pricing, if you've got a buyer at a bar, or even a chain place, they're looking for a certain price point on their kegs, and we cannot compete with that price point. So we have to do a good job at explaining why we're a premium price product, why they should pay more for it, and it can't just be because we're local. You've got to convince them through other means. And so that, those are barriers, but we have seen a shift in, when we first started 3 years ago, we could not get anybody out of town to take anything other than like our semi-sweet as a draft option. Now that's one of our lower selling, our seasonals, our cherry, which is on the sweeter side, is still best selling, but we see a lot of, we've even got our In the Buff, our absolutely bone dry, no filtration kegs in distribution. Our Queen City Comet, we're seeing more and more. We would see it in the tap room every once in a while, that you'd see people shifting toward the dryer, but we're actually seeing it in the market now too. So I think that's going to continue as more cider apples become available. People will get exposed to more tannic cider styles, more European style cider, and it's just going to take time. I mean, we're still a fairly new industry, maybe 10 years. So we're where craft beer was maybe 10, 20 years ago. So it's going to take time to grow it. The barriers are less significant now than they were 5 years ago. And the other thing I'll say about the large cider companies, they've been a great partner to the industry in getting the regulations and legislative actions we've needed. They've been the money and impact behind getting those changed. So, they are a good partner to the industry. It's just we have to kindly differentiate ourselves from them. Yeah.
All right. Well, Jay, that'll wrap it up for us today, and we thank you again for your time.
I appreciate your support.
Yeah, we encourage everybody to come out here to Red Clay, try what they got.
Thank you.
Let us know what you think about it, and we'll see you next time.